My room is quite small, and I have some family outside in my house at the moment. You can't quite see my toes, but I'd assume that this is okay for the first day assignment. Head to toe view, horizontal. Anyway, hi, my name is Alexis Kernan. I am a senior. Wow, that's the first time I've had to say that. I'm a senior communications major here at USF. The reason why I chose to go into communications, it's kind of a funny story. I transferred in as a junior into USF, and I had a really different major at my old college, but the way the transfer credit works, my advisor was like, "Hey, the thing that most of your credits will transfer into would be communications. Are you okay with that?" And initially, I was terrified because there's kind of like a bit of a judgment that communication students don't really have as many opportunities as students in other majors. But anyway, the reason why that's the reason why I am a communications major. But I'm actually really glad that things kind of played out that way because communications has opened so many doors for me and presented me with so many opportunities that I feel like I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So yeah, I'm a communications major, and I'm also just super excited that it kind of shows you all facets of the way we communicate as humans, and it plays into so many different areas of life that you would never even think of, unless you sit in a course about business communications and things like that. So speaking of courses, from this course, what I'm hoping to get out of it really is not just performative skills, but being able to transfer those performative skills into public speaking, giving speeches, and things of that nature. I'm currently an intern at General Dynamics in St. Pete. I'm an HR intern, and at the end of my summer internship, I have to give a presentation in front of pretty much the entire building's worth of staff. And so I feel like the skills that we get to learn in this kind of a communications class, more of the performative side of things, will definitely help me kind of grow in my skill set when it comes to that. And so I will be able to apply them at the end of the summer. To bring it back to the statement that was discussed in chapter one, all human communication is a performance. I I'd like to say that I agree and disagree. It's kind of hard for me to have a stance on this because I do agree in the sense that, obviously I'm going to communicate differently and quote unquote perform differently when I'm at work in a one on one with my boss than if I'm at my friend's house hanging out and playing games. I feel like in that sense, our brains are kind of wired to know to perform differently based on the scenario and who we're talking to. But at the same time, I don't feel like communication is always performing. I feel like there are facets of communication that don't necessarily involve purposely performing and purposely altering the way you say and do things. Sometimes you just kind of act naturally if you're around certain people who you're comfortable with. Sometimes your brain just kind of shuts off and you're not necessarily always thinking about performing or feeling like you are performing. Sometimes you're just kind of being your natural self around those people. And so I do agree and I disagree with that statement.